now. All right, so before we start, me and Miranda are just gonna present ourselves, who we are. So my name is Miguel. I'm currently a senior mathematics major. I'm technically done with the degree. I'm just like wrapping up units. I'm a first generation student, and I'm currently a peer mentor for the Onda Student Center.
Hi, I'm Miranda. I'm a third-year Psych and Brain Sciences major with an applied psych and theater minors, and I am also first generation and a peer mentor at the Onda Student Center.
So before we start, let me give a little information about the Onda Student Center. So ONDAS stands for Opening New Doors to Accelerating Success. Our mission is to promote the success and retention of first generation students, typically because this group of people struggle a lot more transitioning to UCSB since typically they don't have anyone to talk to about classes or university life or things like that. The way we promote the success of first generation students is by offering a variety of workshops and events that promote community building, academic skills, and professional development. But also, we don't just serve first generation students. You don't have to be first gen to use our center. We cater to anyone. So yeah, and then we also offer peer mentoring. So as me and Miranda mentioned, we're peer mentors. And so what we do, our role is to help the students. So we are here to help you in any way of, if you have any questions about navigating the university, navigating gold, navigating Gotcha Space, or whatever it is. We can also get you connected with resources. And we also have different majors. So for example, on math, so I mentor specific math classes. So math 3A, 3B, and math 4A, and also math 8. And so what I can do is not necessarily tutor you, but be a sort of guidance in the class. So I can go over the syllabus with you, kind of give my own experience too. And it's the same case with Miranda as well. She has her own classes that she mentors as well. And so these classes are mainly the kind of like the introduction classes and the pre-major classes, mainly because, again, these classes are made up of students who are new to the university. And we're always here to talk to you as well. So if you ever need help, please come talk to us. And so, yeah, does anyone have any questions so far? Okay, so feel free to stop us at any time if you have any questions on a certain slide or a certain topic. And let's get started. So the first thing to keep in mind is that you belong. So what I mean by this is that you weren't admitted here because, you know, the people thought, or the people who were in charge of admitting you were like, hey, this person seems kind of cool. Hopefully they graduate. No, that's not the case at all. It's they accepted you because they believe that you are able to find success here at UCSB, graduate with your degree. And so what a lot of people experience is what's called impostor syndrome. Here is the technical definition of it. So the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. So what that pretty much means is that you would feel kind of like not qualified for where you are right now, or you don't fit the task. Like, for example, this cat's looking at the mirror and like, I mean, this lion, and it sees itself as a cat, when it, like, in reality, it's much more than that. So this is actually common among students, and especially those who identify as first generation. I definitely went through it my first year, and pretty much throughout my years, like there were certain like times where I just felt like I wasn't good enough, especially being in math. But I believe my most difficult time was during my freshman year. My first class was a section for Math 3A. And so what we had to do for that class is just fill out an exercise sheet. It was just like refresh your mind on like math pretty much. And it was like super, I guess now that I look back at it, like kind of like easy questions and like very trivial. But I had no clue what to do. And like the people around me were like just grinding through it, just talking to each other, like comparing answers. And I had like no answer on my sheet. And then I sucked up the guts to like ask a question like, hey, what does this mean? Or like,
I'm
and like,
attending a Zoom meeting. One thing that I like
and
one thing that I like.
so yeah, and it was really difficult. I walked out of that class thinking like, should I really be a math major? Should I really continue my university life? Am I like, I'm not good enough, obviously, if I can't fill out this worksheet. And so this one thing I really want to try to emphasize is throughout your college career, do not compare yourself to others. There will be people who will be better than you in your field, and you definitely feel intimidated. But focus on yourself. Remember that you're not alone, and there are definitely resources that all around you to support you. There are also other people who are feeling the same way, and it's very important to communicate with each other. Um, Again, us peer mentors, we're here to talk to you about these things also. And yeah.
So this is just like a slide on just like dealing with like your coursework and everything like that. So one of our other peer mentors, Jackie, she actually created this cool YouTube video of a previous workshop that we had that you guys can check out on our YouTube channel about time management, which is a really big thing that I learned in high school and in college. So some tips that we have for y'all is just to use a physical agenda or even a Google Calendar just to manage everything that you are committing to, because a lot of us just tend to be really busy with not just like classes, but also extracurriculars, jobs, etc. And personally, my first year, I actually used a physical agenda and I really liked it. Like I like the concept of checking off things like that. Like that was a really big thing for me. And my second year, I just like did not have the space to carry around a physical book. So I like started using Google Calendar and the calendar on my phone. So I think like it's always important just to have some sort of agenda or some sort of like to-do list that you have for yourself, and just figuring out what's more comfortable for you. So whether that's like technology, or if you're like also like me where you prefer to actually physically check it off like with a pen and paper. And I think like it's kind of weird. I thought it was weird at first, especially to schedule just like honestly everything. Like even like your lunch and like hanging out with your friends, just because like like it's really important, especially like when you're in such a fast-paced environment, especially as a first gen. It's hard to do things when you don't take care of yourself. So it's like important to make sure that you're still eating. And it's like I would always like at least give myself an hour. It's like I would never take an hour to eat, but like I felt like an hour was sufficient time for me to like actually like kind of relax and like not feel like I'm rushing through like me just like eating my lunch or my dinner or whatever. So I think that's like something that's really important. And also just like don't commit yourself to more than you can handle. Like I definitely have so many things that I want to do still at UCSB, and I feel like it's really hard when you're in like a 10-week environment and you want to do everything, but it's also important to realize like what you can handle. And it's okay to get overwhelmed, obviously, and it's just like making sure that you communicate with like your faculty or like your peers or your coworkers, whoever it is, about like how you feel and like what you think you can handle and like what's best for you and like what's going to come out of like what's going to come from your best work. So like some things that like I like to do personally, like self-care, is just like go for like a run or a walk or a bike ride. Like sometimes like I usually bike to campus or walk, but like if I don't feel like biking and I feel like taking like a longer, because UCSB, I'm from LA, so UCSB is very like naturey compared to LA. So sometimes I actually do like to go for a walk on campus more than I like to bike. And I think that's something that I prefer sometimes. Or, you know, you have the beach. The beach is your next door neighbor. Or you can just hang out with your friends or family, binge watch a good TV show or a movie. And yeah, there's just like making sure you have like activities to take care of yourself essentially is like really important.
So how does it work? So life as a STEM major can be like really tough sometimes, but it all depends on how you handle it. Um, so as Miranda mentioned, we're like in a very fast-paced environment. So the quarter system usually is 10 weeks long. Well, during summer it's 6 weeks, right? Um, so it gets really fast-paced, and you can get overwhelmed really easily. Especially like keeping track of what you need to do, assignments, exams, quizzes, etc. So it's all about time management. So what we suggest is to print out or keep a handy copy of the syllabus and highlight or add important dates, exams, quizzes of projects into your calendar. One thing I would do actually is have post-it notes and like write them out and put them on top of my laptop, since I would literally use my laptop every single day. And so with that like refresher every single time I'd open my laptop, I'd be like, oh, I have an exam like 5 days from now. And so I'd just be getting constant reminders. And then on top of that, I'd also put it in my calendar as well. I'd set alarms actually, like 20, 30 minutes before my exams, especially my 9 a.m. classes because, or my 9 a.m. exams, because I've had lots of friends who just completely slept through their exams, and I was not trying to be one of them. So if you struggle with waking up on time and you have an early exam, I would highly suggest you to set up an alarm, or like a set of alarms if you're that kind of person, or have someone literally come and wake you up. Or what I used to do with my roommate actually is he usually like slept in, like he would sleep through anything, and so it was really hard to wake him up. And so he would have me do is throw him like a stuffed animal or something in the morning, like to his face, just like, hey, wake up. So it all comes down to what you prefer and what's most effective for you, as to keep track of your time management. So often exams and quizzes take place every 2 to 3 weeks. So it's always best to stay on track. This is typically for exams that, or classes that have 2 midterms and a final. So the first exam would be 2 to 3 weeks, and then like week 2 or 3. And then the second round midterms would be around week 6, 8, or 7. And then you have your final during week 10. For classes that are just one midterm and a final, then that midterm is usually during week 5 or around there, like midway between the quarter. And then again, your final is usually at the very end, so week 10. And yeah.
So obviously, like while you're in class, and it's like normally, especially in your first like prereq classes, they're a very big lecture hall. So it's really important to just make sure you're following along and taking notes and everything like that. So I personally, it depends on the subject actually for me. I don't have a preference between writing or typing. Like for example, I took chemistry, like the whole chem series, and I would never type chem notes ever. But I know some people who did, and I don't know how they did it, just because there's like exponents and all of that stuff, and I just found it easier to write because I would write it faster than I would type it. And also because I'm a really big fan of just like highlighters and colors, so I would always change colors like depending on the topic and such. But also like for like a humanities class, like I also took Greek mythology, and I found it easier to type out like verbally what my professor was saying about the stories rather than like writing it, just because it wasn't any numbers or anything like too complicated. So yeah, I think it's just like figuring out your note taking style. So some students like to use like a laptop or a tablet or an iPad, but also like the downside to doing that is just like you have to always like have on do not disturb and this and that, because I personally know how easy it is to get distracted in class. Like I usually leave my phone in my backpack because honestly, if it's next to me, I'm gonna pick it up. And that's just kind of like an impulse thing. So I feel like that's like a super important, it's a habit you build. It's definitely not something that you get from like just going to one sitting. And just like I said, I prefer highlighters and colors. So or some people also underline everything like that. So I think it makes things more fun, honestly, just because you are taking like these rigorous courses and it's fun to see more colors. But I know for some people it's also like a headache, so I think that's a personal choice as well. And like Miguel mentioned, it is a very fast-paced like environment, so it's really important to just stay on top of your assignments and your reading. And it sounds like when you first see your syllabus, especially, it's gonna get overwhelming, and it's really hard to maintain like a consistent study schedule, because obviously like some weeks are gonna be busier than others, but it's always like best to just like try to plan it out and follow it as close as you possibly can, just because it's gonna work out for you in the end if you honestly like follow a study schedule. And like for chem, for example, we had to do like book problems before an exam. Like I had friends that would do like because it was like I would say an exam is about 3 chapters, I want to say. They would do 3 chapters of book problems in one night, and I can't do that. Like that to me won't work for me. So I would do like the chapter as we're learning the chapter, and I found that was more helpful. So just like stuff like that, like figuring out like what's best for you. And some like cool apps that I actually found out during my time was, this is not an app, but it's like a study method, is Pomodoro. I use it. So basically, like, especially if I'm lazy, it's really good if you're lazy. Basically, like every consonant you study for, I believe, like 10-15 minutes, and every vowel you rest for 5 minutes, and then the last like vowel you rest for a longer break, so like 20 minutes. And even if you like constantly work like that, regardless of like how many times you use, because you basically just keep cycling, like you're gonna get some work done, essentially. And this app is also really cool. Miguel, you should download it because you're our plant guy. Miguel really likes plants.
Oh,
Anyway,
yeah.
it's called the Forest app. It costs money though. I kind of honestly want to invest, but it's called like the Forest app. And like basically like you grow a tree by like staying off your phone. I think I have a lot of friends that have it. I think it's the cutest thing in the world, but it does cost money. But I just think that's cool, and I thought I would mention it. And this was a cool one that I learned from one of my TAs. Actually, it's an app. It's called Pocket Points. You can download it, and you get like points for staying off of your phone, and then this leads to like coupons for food around like UCSB and around IB. So like Subway and like Woodstock's Pizza, like you get coupons for those places just for like staying off your phone. And I think that's like a really good motivation as well.
Yeah, and since you kind of gave your experience with your chemistry classes about your readings and assignments, I figured I'd give a little bit of my experience with that too in my math classes. And so what I usually do in my math classes and like my readings as well, math is not all about just doing problems. It's actually a lot of reading as well. So my biggest recommendation is have all the readings done before the class starts, because from there you already have an idea of what the material is going to be about. And so what the professor really does is kind of elaborates on it and allows you to get a deeper an understanding of it. And so if you already have like some kind of knowledge about it going in, you'll be able to recognize everything that the professor is talking about, whatever he puts up on the board as well. With this, you'll also have possibly questions in mind. You can raise your hand or talk to the professor afterwards, after your class ends. And so what I usually would do during my readings for math is as I read, I would write down like on my notes, the big things. So like definitions, theorems, equations. And I personally would not write down like the examples because I just didn't feel like writing that much because examples could get pretty long. And so what I would just kind of do is I would just make note of it. Like an example of this theorem is on page this. So I would always kind of, if I were to kind of like want an idea of how the equation works or the theorem or whatever it was, I just reference that and go back to it and reread the example. And so that was my method of doing things. And I would have that, I would like store all my notes in like one notebook or like a page like specifically for my readings. So then that would be used as an extra tool to study for my exams, because the exams really focus again on the big picture, like again like the theorems, the equations, things like that. And I wouldn't say it's very helpful to just memorize them or just like regurgitate them and plug and chug. I would highly recommend you kind of sitting down and learning the understanding behind those equations or definitions or whatever it is. Because with that, again, you just get a deeper understanding. And so from there, you can just be able to process your problem solving skills better, if that makes sense. Like there's been a scenario in one of my math classes, I think it was like math 4A or math 3B, I forgot what, but I completely blanked on an equation. But since I already kind of knew another equation that was related to that, I was able to like derive it and like kind of create the equation myself. And so it's always like good to understand it. So that's my experience in my math classes. So is there a curve? So some STEM courses will offer a curve, but don't rely on it to get a good grade. So curves are usually set by the department rather than the professor. So curves are really just based on your class's performance. So for example, if a class doesn't do really well, then it's kind of hard to put in words, but the idea is the professor can't fail everyone. So an example would be on like, this is a crazy example, but in one of my upper division math courses, I think it was math 108B, we had a midterm where the average was around, I think 30%. Like the highest was like a 40 or 50%. And when I remember getting my grade back, it was like a 20%. So I was still below average, but I was like, oh my gosh, I like completely failed this class. You know, like, whoa, I'm not up for this major, because this is one of my newest upper division classes I was taking. And so I was struggling a lot and I thought I did terrible. You know, 20% is usually like a complete F, but I was just a little bit below the average. So it wasn't that impacting towards my grade. The professor's excuse, or like his reasoning, was that the TA had graded too harshly. So yeah, it was kind of a crazy experience because everyone was like, "What? Like I got a 30%, or like I got a 25%." So, so if you do bad on an exam, it might not necessarily be bad. You should always ask about the curve. So the curving policies are usually like on the professor's syllabi, but what I would really enforce is to not rely on the curve, because if you rely on the curve, then you'll just kind of not take the exam as seriously as you should. Having the mentality, oh, everyone's gonna do bad, you know, I shouldn't really try that hard, or the professor is like really difficult, I'm sure like no one's really understanding the material. So what I would recommend is just focus on yourself, literally do the best that you can. Don't compare yourself to others. As I mentioned before, some people get like crazy good grades, some people don't. And if you fail an exam, if it's a midterm or a final, it's not the end of the world. If you fail a quiz, or again, like a midterm, you could always make it up for the final, or make it up in your other areas of the grade, like in the homework or whatever it is that the grade is made up of. So don't panic. Everything will be okay. Trust me.
Yeah, so going off of what Miguel was saying, I actually did have a friend that went through that. Like her first exam, I think she got like a 45%. And then like her second exam, she straight up got like a 90. So I think it's like definitely okay to like pick yourself up. And I don't think it's like, there's nothing wrong with doing like not your best on an exam. So I think it's just like using that rather like as a motivator for like your next exam and stuff like that. So we already mentioned this, just to like make sure to just stay on top of your materials and everything like that. So if you're confused about something, just reach out earlier rather than later. I noticed that like when I first took my first chem class, I I don't know what it was. I think it was honestly just because it was like my first year as well. Like as Miguel said, like I kind of didn't feel like I belonged at UCSB, especially because people would come into class and talk about how they took AP Chem and stuff, and I never took that. The last time I took Chem was a sophomore in high school, so I was like, I don't even know what's happening. And I think like I honestly did not do terrible in the class. It's just I think I honestly could have done better if I just reached out to a professor, especially because as a first year, I went to the Onda Center, and my professor had office hours at the Onda Center, and I did not go because I was just like kind of nervous, and I just never thought to do it. And then like the next quarter, I also took the next class in the chem series, and I actually went to the professor this time, and I did a lot better. So I think it does make a difference. So like going off of that, just like make office hours your new best friend, and like they're definitely intimidating, especially. So I mean, like it's good to start small. Like my first quarter, I went to a lot of my TAs rather than my professors, especially because TAs sometimes, especially if you have sections, they're the ones that you're gonna see more and they're gonna actually like know your name. So I think that's like really important to just see them, especially like just for just like any reference or anything like that. Or you can also go with like a friend or a classmate to office hours if you don't want to go by yourself. I think that's also a really good thing because they might ask questions that you know, and like you might ask questions that they know, so you guys can answer each other's questions. And like I said, some professors, like when we are in physical like instruction instead of remote instruction, like professors do offer hours in the OSC. And I think the OSC is more of like a bigger environment rather than like a small cramped office. So it is definitely more comfortable. So that you might prefer that to like going to their office. And then like also the chemistry, like going back to my friend, like sometimes in some classes, your lowest exam or quiz can be like replaced or dropped. So it's always best to just like work hard early, because if you have a high grade on your first midterm and you have also like a decent grade or a high grade on your second one, your grade is like solid. Like your grade is okay. Because we are in a 10-week system, it's very fast and your grade is based on like very small amount of things. So that's why it's like just really important to make sure you succeed the first time rather than trying to like pick yourself back up later.
Yeah, and I would like really back that up 100% too. It's always best to do your best on your first exam, so you don't have to be relying on the next midterm or the final to bump up your grade. Because that feeling can like kind of overwhelm you too, and because you might also not be doing good in your other classes, and then it's just constant just worrying about your grades. And so do your best on your first exam. But again, as I mentioned before, it's okay if you don't do good. You always have another opportunity to bump up your grade. And so kind of elaborating more on office hours being intimidating, I would really push everyone to get out of their bubble, get out of your comfort zone, especially coming into UCSB. Because that's really when you start growing and you start developing yourself, not only in academics, but personally as well. Once you start getting the gist of it and everything, and you start putting yourself out more to other opportunities. So get out of your comfort zone, take any opportunity that you can, start developing yourself pretty much. So a lot of students take part in research since this is a research institution. And just because you're in STEM doesn't mean it's more difficult to get into research or more difficult in the research process itself. There's always opportunities. So one thing would be, again, talking to your professor. You don't have to talk to them in their office hours just about the class. You can talk to them about their research experience. You could talk to them about their grad school experience, whatever it is that you're interested in. And they'll definitely give you some feedback or some things, or like they'll guide you in a way if you're interested in going that route. And so you could always ask the professor if they're looking for like any research assistants, and hopefully they'll give you more information on that. But it never hurts to ask. And also your TAs too. Your TAs are also a great method of getting involved with research. and just learning about it too, since they're grad students and they're typically doing research as well. Another method of getting access to research is through URCA, which stands for Undergraduate Research and Creative Activities, right?
I think so.
Yeah. URCA gets you connected with other people who are doing research on the campus. So like other professors or other faculty. Depending on your research, you just gotta talk to them about what you're interested in, and they'll definitely get you connected. And so you could also attend other areas to get more information on research. So as I mentioned, professor office hours, you could always talk to them about research. Professor after hours, that's part of the Onda Student Center. And so what that is that, I don't know if we're hosting it during online, but during in-person, what it usually is that professors host so like kind of a panel where they talk about their experience in grad school and research and giving key points to students. There's usually free lunch, so when things get back to normal, I would highly encourage you to go. There's also table talk. This is also part of the Onda Student Center. So this is something that you have to sign up for. It's a quarter-long event where you have dinner with a specific professor. And so that's a great way of getting to know them and getting acquainted with them, also learning about their research experience too. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's like a very small group. It's like a group of like, I think 10 or less. And also you get dinner 3 times a quarter for free.
Free food is always good.
Yeah. So like we mentioned earlier, we talked about just like maintaining your mental and personal health. So obviously, like as a STEM major and just like as a UCSB student in general, like you're bound to get overwhelmed during your time, and it's okay that happens, and it's just important to just take care of yourself. So avoid all-nighters. So like basically we all know that like sleep is really important, but some of us just stay up anyways just to like cram and everything like that. I always try to sleep by midnight when I was at school. Sometimes it would work out, sometimes it didn't. It's the attempt that counts. Miguel never sleeps less than 8 hours, right, Miguel? Is that
Definitely
what it is?
not.
Miguel
I
sleeps a
very
lot,
much.
guys. Like, that's so good for you. Make sure to get your sleep or like, take power naps. That also is really helpful. There's actually these cool egg chair, nap chairs like all over campus. You just have to like kind of look for them, and you guys can also rest in those, and those are really cool. Making sure to just like eat well and eat balanced in like either the dining halls or just wherever you're eating. Like I know the dining halls actually, it's super cool. They actually have a lot of like vegan options. I'm personally not vegan, but I do know that they have quite a bit. So if you are just like into that, they do support you in that way. And I think that's really sweet and cool. Making sure to exercise. We do have the recreational center and you pay for it already. So you might as well use it. And also like just your daily bike ride or your like walk to class and everything, like take that time to like, I personally, like I either listen to music or my roommate, she likes to listen to like podcasts and stuff, like just doing something that's for you and like for you to just like listen and chill. And yeah, letting your eyes rest. Like recently, especially during remote instructions, like we're on our laptops and our computers like all day, and it kind of sucks to be sitting down all day. I think it's just like making sure to get up and like stretching every 20 minutes. I recently invested into blue light glasses because I'm on the computer like all day. It's so bad. But and then just like making sure to talk to others. So you, like Miguel mentioned, you guys can talk to us anytime that you guys want, just to like for school, for like life, anything. Like we're always here and we always love to talk to you guys. So that's always fun. And CAPS also, or is it health and wellness? I have no idea. CAPS or health and wellness have mental health peers. So these are peers that also are like attending like classes like you guys and such, and they're also always here to talk. And I believe they're also open during remote instruction. So it's, you can also reach out to them during this time as well. And academic advising, especially if you guys are struggling academically, it's like important to reach out early just so your advisor can advise you on like the best way to just like stay on track. Like if you know you're struggling in a class, I think it's okay to admit that and just figuring out like a route to like either retake it or see if you really can like pick it up again. And like a lot of people retake classes. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It happens. And like some quarters are just like harder than others.
Yeah, and I actually want to include something else here. I am a very big promoter of lo-fi hip hop
Oh,
instrumental beats.
yeah.
Miranda knows this.
The whole
So
OSC knows this.
yeah, so lo-fi hip hop beats are just kind of like instrumental. It could be like they have genres of like jazz, like winter, etc. Just look it up on YouTube. They have like a whole live like hours worth of just instrumental music, and those beats are fire. Not gonna lie, they're fire. So check it out. I personally always use it or listen to it when I'm studying or when I'm doing work, or really when I'm trying to focus my mind on something. So here are some additional resources that that will be of help. So I think the biggest one for everyone to know about is CLAS. Here, let me click it real quick. So CLAS is pretty much like a tutoring service for pre-major classes. And so all you have to do to sign up for like a specific um, like instructing session of the class, you just go to My CLAS here. You just sign in with your credentials, and you just pretty much look up the class that you're taking, and it's sort of like an extra section, pretty much. I would highly encourage it. I did it through all my pre-major math classes, and I think some physics classes I took. And yeah, they're mainly of math, physics, chem, writing. Miranda, am I missing any?
Um, there's writing as well. Yeah, they also have a service where they can look over your essays for you, which I think is pretty cool. And yeah, like chem, math, bio,
Bio,
and
yeah.
physics. And I think there might be more, but those are the ones off the top of my head for now.
Yeah, so this, I would highly encourage you to do this again for your pre-major. Um, it's usually an hour long. I think you only meet like once a
Twice.
week,
Yeah.
once or twice, and it has like an instructor. They're all qualified. They all have their degrees in that certain field or have sufficient experience, and so it's not new material. They're just reinforcing what the professor talked about. I believe the tutors even sit in the classes too, so then they take notes about what the professor was talking about, and so then they further elaborate on that. So it's practice on top of practice, and it's always good to hone your skills. And another big one is definitely academic advising, like we mentioned. So they're still available during remote. All you have to do is just contact them either through email or this phone number. There's also, where is it? I believe you just text this phone number too, where, yeah, QLIS. All you have to do is just text them, I believe, and then they'll put you in a waiting line. And then once it's your turn to come up, they will actually call you, and then they'll get you connected to an academic advisor. And so QLIS is the easiest way to get connected to someone or an academic advisor, I mean. And so whenever you have any doubts or any concerns about your classes, trust me, and I'm really pushing this too, do not hesitate to ask. There are no stupid questions when it comes down to your classes and your graduation process. Because I personally was going for a minor in stats, and I was doing the minor when I was doing BS math, and um, then I switched to BA math. And so I didn't look at the requirements with the stats minor, saying that if there were more than 8 units overlapping between the minor and the major, then I cannot get the minor. And so I just realized this last quarter when I was finishing up my last stats course to get the minor supposedly. I found out I couldn't get the minor, or I wouldn't be formally recognized for it. And so that was because I did not communicate with an academic advisor. So please, please, please talk to an advisor about anything that concerns you, or just double checking about everything. Like, is this the right course I should be taking? Is this going to be beneficial, etc.? So talk to them at any given time. There's also the Ondas Student Center. Shout out to the Ondas. The another big thing is CAPS, definitely. So CAPS is pretty much your go-to for kind of like your health services, mainly for like mental health. Also, that's another thing I would push for, to take care of your mental health. And oh, there are arrows. I don't know where that came from, but yeah, CAPS is a great, great, great resource. Take care of yourself. You can make appointments with a psychologist, right, Miranda?
Yes, you can make an appointment with a psychologist or a mental health peer as well. I've been, I believe, once, and it's actually it's nice. I think it's just nice to like talk even for like an hour. Some students go daily, some students just go once or twice, and I think it's just nice to talk to someone.
They're always there to help. And yeah, that's pretty much the big ones. Here are the other ones that will also be of help to you. And there's Chancellor Yang. And so this is where we're located. It's not that important right now since we're closed, but once things open, you'll know where we are. We're by the bus loop. Come visit us when things are okay. Here's our Instagram page, and here's our Facebook page. So we usually post about our workshops and events, and also other opportunities from our partners as well. So always keep an eye on our social media. And yeah, do you have anything to add, Miranda?
Not really, but also like the resources that Miguel like pointed out in the earlier slide, I was trying to like attach it as a picture and I realized I can't for some reason, but I did it yesterday. But as Miguel said, this is recorded and I believe it's going to be posted on our YouTube, right?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, so if you guys ever want to refer back to that list, you guys can when the video is uploaded, so don't worry about that. Also, when you guys get your access cards, there's a bunch of resources on the back of that card that probably include some of the ones that we listed. So that's always cool. But other than that, we can also open the floor to see if any of y'all have any questions. And you guys can just drop it in the chat or actually like verbally say it. It doesn't matter.
For a second, I thought I wasn't recording. I was like, oh snap. Did we just do this all like without being recorded?
Okay, we would just do it again by ourselves. Yeah.
Oh, hey, Mika's here.
Yeah, I said hi to her. Hello.
Hello. I guess I'll
Introduce
introduce
yourself.
myself. Yeah, I dropped in mid-presentation, but y'all were great. Hello, everyone. My name is Micaela Bermudez, but I go by Mika. I am the programs assistant for the Ondas Student Center and also the Transfer Student Center, which is, their sister centers is what we like to call them. I was also a first-gen student myself. I was a transfer student. I got my degree in psychology. Yeah, it's about me. But Miguel and Miranda, they are such great students, such great peers. I've had a lot of experience at UCSB, so please ask them questions.
I see some questions right now.
Yeah.
How different are college class exams as compared to AP class exams? The first difference I think is AP exams, I believe you have like hours, no? I was like, when you take an exam in class, like the class time that you originally have for lecture is the time that you'll have for the exam as well. So the time won't change just because you have an exam. It won't get longer, it won't get shorter. I would say in terms of like difficulty, it depends on the professor, but also the exams are going to be on the materials that you covered in previous weeks. And the final is probably the most similar to an AP exam because the final is more or less likely going to be cumulative. Other than that, it won't be cumulative. So in that sense, yeah.
Final exams are usually like, they are usually a span of 3 hours.
Yeah.
Whereas in-class exams are usually like your entire class. So for example, if you're taking a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class, they're usually 50 minutes long. So whatever, like that exam is going to be 50 minutes long. And then if you're taking Tuesdays and Thursdays classes, those classes are usually an hour and 15 minutes long. So again, that exam would be an hour and 15 minutes long. That's usually what the professor does.
Yeah.
Hopefully that answers your question. Here's another question. Is Notably okay for taking notes? Do profs allow recording during class?
No?
Notably, is that an app?
Yeah, it's an app. I know. I don't have it. I think it's really cool. I have a lot of friends that use it. I think it's good. I honestly think it's cool, especially because it's kind of like combining technology and like physically writing in a way, which I think is really cool. I think it's great. I have a lot of friends that do it. They love it. And I think it's the organization in that app is really good. For recording audio, I know some professors don't. I would check actually, like maybe the first class, because the first class is mostly going to be syllabus overview. If you would like, ask them after the class, because some professors are okay with it and some aren't. And also some professors, like I had a bio professor this past year, and she actually uploaded her lectures every single class, like after the class. So some professors are nice and they will actually do that for you as well.
Mm-hmm. And also, some professors are kind of picky about using devices during class. And so you might also want to check in with them if you want to use that app. And for audio recording, if they do allow you, I would recommend you to sit near the front of the class, because sometimes classes are huge. Like some classes can be in Ivy Theater, which can like hold up to like hundreds of people. So it's not going to be very useful if you're sitting in the way back.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I totally forgot. Like what Miguel was saying is that like I don't know his name. I never had a class with him. I just know he's like famous for it. I know there's a history professor that like is not a fan of technology. Like you cannot have your phone out. You can't take notes on a computer or anything. Like it's all hand written essentially. And like yeah, like there's some professors like that. So I think it's important to check. And also most professors will also like say whether they allow like a laptop or not as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's always good to check in with your professor. Also reading the syllabus. The syllabus usually has pretty much all that information. If it doesn't, then they'll most likely tell you like during the first day or the first week. They should be telling you the first day. So attend your first lecture.
Any other questions?
Did you put in the link for the sign-in?
Yes, I did a couple of times, but I will do it again because I
Yeah.
know people are popping in and out.
Yeah, so we're uploading a link right now to our sign-in. So please sign into this. It's more beneficial for us since we kind of like get an idea that you attended here. So.
And you like workshops like this, and they're helpful. But yeah, I don't know. Like I know we have a marine bio. I don't know what other majors we have in here, to be honest.
I was also trying to do double major in earth science, math and earth science during my sophomore year, since I'm like super into earth science, but it was too much work. I was kind of far behind for the major, and I had to take like a bunch of courses. So then I tried minoring in earth science, and I think specifically they have like a minor in geoengineering. So I tried that too, but I think it just didn't really fit in my schedule, and I wasn't too like enthusiastic about it. So I was like, I don't need it.
Yeah. Initially coming to UCSB, I actually wanted to double major too. And then I came in and I like took my first chem class. I was like, nope, we're gonna stick with one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's possible. I actually have a friend who has like a double major, and her majors, some majors overlap a lot. And I think that helps if you want to double major. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's also great to expand your the variety of classes that you take. So just kind of like see what you're interested. Well, either way, you'll be taking a bunch of classes because you need to take GEs. But it's never a bad idea to change your major. You know, you're here for your interests, no matter what it is. You don't have to be STEM. You don't have to feel bad if you drop out of STEM to be social science. You know, being here is more discovering about yourself and doing what you're passionate about. That's what I believe.
Do some upper div minor classes or something like that count for the GEs? Yes, they do, depending on like which ones. A great way to check if it does is that I don't know if you guys have gold yet. Like, I don't know how that works for you guys right now, but gold is basically just like a platform where you can check your class schedule, like your grades, and like your how to register. It's where you register for courses essentially. And when you register for courses, usually when you click on a course for like more info, I think that's the button, it tells you what areas it covers. And that's how you would know if it would cover like a GE or anything like that. And also gold is like another place as well where you could check what GEs or what other classes that you have left to like.
Yeah, that's under the progress check under gold. So there's a section where you click on called progress checks, and then it literally lists you like all that you need. So like area A or like area B or like for your GEs, and they usually have like an X mark or a check mark indicating that you need to fill something in there, or if it's complete already. Or sometimes it also has like a little clock thing, meaning that you're taking a class that's already covering that GE. And so it's always good to check that progress check under gold to see what you need and kind of plan ahead what courses you want to take. Because personally, I kind of messed up kind of like balancing my GEs and my my major courses. So as I said, I'm very interested in earth science, so I took a lot more earth science classes than I needed. And so I think it was winter quarter, I just took pure GEs because I needed to fill I took 5 classes actually. I took like 3 writing classes and like an arts class, and then like something that covered like creative something thinking. I forget what it's called, but yeah. So checking your progress check is very important to like plan out your classes and don't take too many of one area. Trust me.
Yeah, I think also like in terms of like, I guess more specifically on your question is I have 2 minors right now, and I'm planning to take 2 classes this summer for both of them. And I'm really bummed because I didn't know ahead of time, but like they both cover like the GE of like writing, and I'm almost done with that. So I was like, oh, that's unfortunate, because now they're gonna just count for my minor and nothing. But that's okay, that's fine. But yeah, like there's also that situation as well.
Yeah, and UCSB offers a ton of minors actually. You just look up UCSB minors, and they have like an entire list of what UCSB has to offer. We also have like an extension program where you can get specific certificates. So actually, let me show that really quick.
It's the TMP, right?
Yeah. How do I?
Are there any concerns that y'all have about your classes? Maybe
Like
remote, if you're taking them, or if classes are remote fall. Are there any concerns y'all have about your classes or about your major at all?
I think my roommate's doing TMP. I don't know which one, but she's definitely doing one of them, which is really cool.
They usually have it all listed out.
Oh, those are courses. Yeah, TMP is really cool.
Yeah, they offer like certificates and like I know they have like technology management, they have like accounting, they have something related to medical. I'm not entirely sure, but you just have to look up TMP, CSB, and so you could check out all their like extension programs.
To change my major, can I do it during orientation? I believe so. I think if you attended physically, you would have done it then, and you can still do it now. I think when you do go to your orientation, I would bring it up to your orientation leader, whether that's like in private or out, like that's up to you. And I think they're going to refer you to an academic advisor. And if they don't, then you should reach out to academic advising. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you can.
I would also try to reach out to admissions because I believe, I'm assuming you're a new student since you're talking about orientation. Just from what I've heard in the past, when it's a new incoming student, we don't refer them to the advisors, we refer them to the admissions office. I'm not exactly sure why, so that might be a good place to start and then go from there, the Office of Admissions.
I think your orientation leader will know though, if you ask. They're pretty.
Also good to keep in mind that some majors are really impacted, so you can't really change from one major to like the College of Engineering where it's like extremely difficult. Well, not, I wouldn't say extremely difficult, but it has a lot. You have like, it's a huge process to transition because that college is extremely competitive. So I tried doing mechanical engineering too my freshman year, and I saw like the lists that I had to do, and like I had to have like a certain GPA, I had to have like letters of recommendation, and I need to do all that. So I was like, I'll stick to math. But I did have a friend who was doing, I think initially she was doing like chemistry or bio, but she switched to mechanical engineering over the course of a year, and she just graduated too, like in 4 years. So it's definitely doable if you want to do engineering. Never say never.
I love the engineering building. On a side note,
Yeah,
they're
really
beautiful,
cool.
guys. You should just walk by them because I don't have any classes there, but they're pretty.
It's insane.
Also,
Inside Ealing's Hall, like at the very back too,
yeah.
if you go into that building, there's like a small, like not a small, but like there's an entire like passageway you can go through, and like every side is just filled with like mechanics and like people doing work, like labs, and like they have huge windows you can look into, and they have like crazy machinery. It's really cool.
Hey, Miguel, do you know where the Yoshinoya is?
The what?
The Yoshinoya?
I do not know.
There's a Yoshinoya in the engineering side. I don't know where it is. Everyone talks about it. I'm sad because I don't know.
What is
where.
that?
It's like a rice bowl place, like chicken teriyaki, like rice bowl.
No, I don't know where it is.
Yeah, it's like inside. It's on that side. I have people tell me. I mean, like I've had Yoshinoya in my life. I just think it'd be nice to go there because I've never been there.
Yeah, there's like a food place right there next, like the very back of the College of Engineering,
Yeah.
like by Henley Gate. There's like a food place there, so maybe around there. But Mika, you ever been? You have more experience.
Are you talking about that place where Kevin would always get like his rice bowls or something?
I don't know if Kevin got it there necessarily. I just know that. I just heard about it because my friend always talks about it, and they sent me like a Snapchat of it before, and I was like, where are you? Like,
It's on campus, right?
it is on campus. It's on campus, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Kevin would always get food someplace over there for sure.
Yeah. Kevin has connections to everywhere, so we should ask Kevin.
That's
Mm.
That's good. That's not
All right, so it's pretty much 1:30, so this workshop is technically over. If you all have further questions, please contact us through email. We also have Instagram. You can message us through there. Check out our website too for our contacts. We also host office hours, the peer mentors. Mika also has her own office hours as well. So does our director, Malapon. And so if you want any further information about the ONA Student Center or about the campus or about whatever it is, just reach out to us.
Yes.
Yeah, and with
We
that,
also
I don't know
have a calendar on our website that you can add to your calendar if you just want it to be always there, or you just want to like check out like all of the links to our remote stuff is on there, so it's like easy access as well.
Yeah. Mika, do you want anything else to say?
Yeah, we are very available. Like Miguel, Miranda said, they have office hours. The rest of our peers have office hours. Malapon and I have office hours, and we are always checking the email. We're checking the Instagram all the time. Like, we all have it on our phones, like the account. So we're very active. I know from my experience of talking to other students in my office hours, like some of them are just having trouble reaching certain offices and getting like their questions asked because it's just a little more challenging in this remote environment. So we just want y'all to know that we are very available. And if you are having trouble, reaching a resource or getting your questions answered, you can always come to us and we will try to help you navigate through that. But we are here all summer, all year. So yeah, welcome.
All right, everyone. Have a great day. Good luck with everything. Good luck if you're in freshman orientation or FSSP or any transitioning program. Don't be so intimidated. UCSB is an awesome school. People are really friendly. Yeah.
Well, when we get
All
on
right.
campus.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Bye, y'all.